No pain, no gain. I sit on this bench every morning. The sun feels warm on my face. The birds sing in the trees. I close my eyes and remember my youth. I was a young boy in a small town. My family was poor, but we were happy. My father worked hard every day. My mother cooked and cared for us. We had little, but we had love. One day, I saw a man in a big car. He looked important. I wanted to be like him. I told my father, I want to be rich. My father smiled. Nothing comes easy, my son. You must work hard. I did not understand. I wanted an easy life. I did not want to work hard like my father. I wanted fast success. But life had other plans for me. One day, my father gave me a task. Go to the market and sell these apples, he said. Earn your own money. I did not want to, but I obeyed. At the market, I stood for hours. People walked by but did not buy. I felt tired and hungry. I wanted to go home. But then an old man came. He smiled and bought all my apples. I ran home happy. See, father, I made money. My father nodded. Now do it again tomorrow. I sighed. I thought one day of work was enough, but I was wrong. The next morning my father gave me more apples. Go to the market again, he said. I wanted to rest, but I knew I had to listen. At the market, I stood in the same place. People walked past me. Some looked at the apples, but few bought them. My legs hurt. My stomach was empty. I wanted to go home. An old woman stopped. She picked up an apple and smiled. These look fresh, she said. She bought 3 apples. I felt happy. Thank you, I said, but the day was slow. Hours passed, and I only sold a few more apples. I watched other sellers. Some shouted about their fruits. Others smiled and talked to people. They sold more than me. I decided to try. Fresh apples, sweet and juicy, I called. People turned to look at me. A man stopped and bought some. Then another. I sold more and more. When I returned home, I showed my father the money. Good, he said. What did you learn? I must work hard, I said. And I must not give up. My father smiled. That is the first step. The next day I woke up early. I was excited to sell again. I wanted to do better. I wanted to learn. At the market, I smiled at people. I talked to them. I told them how sweet the apples were. More people bought from me. Days passed, and I got better. I learned how to talk to customers. I learned how to work with other sellers. I was no longer the quiet boy in the corner. One day, a man with a cart came to me. You are a good seller, he said. Do you want to sell oranges too? I thought for a moment. Selling apples was hard, but I had learned a lot. Maybe I could learn more. Yes, I said, and so my journey continued. Selling oranges was different. They were heavier, and I had to carry more. But I didn't complain. I remembered my father's words, hard work brings success. At the market, I set up my apples and oranges. I smiled and called out, fresh apples, sweet oranges. People came, and I sold more than before. One afternoon, a man stopped at my stall. He was dressed in fine clothes. "You work hard, boy," he said. "Would you like to sell for me? I have many fruits." I was surprised. "Sell for you?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "You will sell my fruits and I will pay you." I thought about it. If I worked for him, I could make more money. But what about my father's apples? I needed to decide. That night, I told my father everything. He listened and then said, "You must choose. Do you want to grow your own business or work for someone else?" I didn't sleep much. I thought about my journey. I started with a few apples. Now I was selling oranges too. I was learning. If I worked for the man, I might make more money now, but would I learn as much? The next morning, I went to the market. I found the man. "Thank you, sir," I said, "but I want to build my own business." The man smiled. A brave choice. Keep working hard. From that day, I worked even harder. I bought more fruits. I talked to more people. I saved my money. I had a dream to have my own shop one day. And I knew one thing: nothing comes easy. But hard work always pays off. Days turned into weeks, and I worked harder than ever. Every morning, I woke up early and carried my basket to the market. I learned how to talk to customers, how to arrange my fruits, and how to save money. One day, an old woman came to my stall. She looked at the apples and oranges, but didn't buy anything. She sighed and turned to leave. "Madam, is something wrong?" I asked. She smiled sadly. "I love apples, but I have no money today." I thought for a moment. Then I picked up the best apple and gave it to her. "This is for you." Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, young man. You have a kind heart." That evening, I told my father what I did. He nodded. "Kindness is important, but remember, you must also run a business wisely." The next morning, something surprising happened. The old woman returned, but she was not alone. She brought her friends. "This boy is kind," she told them. "Buy from him." Soon my stall was busy. More people came. Some were her friends, and some were just curious. I sold more fruits than ever. I learned something new that day. Hard work was important, but kindness mattered too. When you treat people well, they remember you. That night, as I counted my money, I smiled. My business was growing, and step by step, I was getting closer to my dream. Months passed, and my fruit stall became popular. People trusted me. They knew my fruits were fresh and my prices were fair. One day, a rich man stopped at my stall. He wore fine clothes and had a serious face. He picked up an orange and examined it. "Young man," he said, "I hear you work hard. Is that true?" I nodded. "Yes, sir. I wake up early, buy the best fruits and sell them here." He smiled. "I like that. Hard work is rare these days." He bought a basket of fruits and handed me extra money. "Keep the change. Use it wisely." I thanked him, feeling proud. That night, I told my father about the rich man. He patted my shoulder. That moment, I remembered my dream. I was not just working for money. I wanted to build something to help my family and to make life better for others. I knew the journey was not over, but I was ready to face whatever came next. One day, the same rich man visited again. He looked around my shop and smiled. "You have done well," he said. I nodded. It was not easy, but I never gave up. He handed me a business card. Come to my office tomorrow. I might have an opportunity for you. The next day, I visited his office. He owned a large company and needed someone honest and hard-working to manage a new market. I believe in you, he said. Would you like to work with me? I thought about my journey, the struggles, the lessons, the sacrifices. Then I smiled. Yes, sir. I would be honoured. That was the day my life changed forever. Hard work and honesty had opened new doors. Now, as an old man, I tell this story to young people. No pain, no gain, I say. Success is never easy, but if you work hard and stay honest, you will achieve your dreams.